So this is how I used to do my concealer, and this is how I now do my concealer. I'm gonna tell you what the difference is. Okay, so I obviously don't have the concealer on anymore. I'm gonna go in with my all-time favorite. It's by Nars. It's the Radiant Creamy Concealer. And this is really what I used to do, and I can't believe it. I don't even know how to put that much on anymore. But I would make a triangle underneath my entire eye. And P.S., I used to use an even lighter shade than this. I used to go like 2 shades lighter than my skin tone. So this is not even exactly what I used to do, but I used to essentially make an upside down triangle under my eye. Now, luckily, I have learned better because I have a friend who is a makeup artist. You guys have seen her. She is Makeup by Nikki LaRose, and she has taught me the better way to do my concealer. So all I do is really put a little bit of concealer right here, and that's truly the only place that I have any darkness underneath my eye. So that's one of the keys. And then I just take a little bit more, and usually I have my eye makeup done already, and I just swipe up, like right here. And it doesn't take a lot of concealer, so that's the big difference. So the way I used to also blend it was with a damp beauty blender, and I'm just gonna show you. When you start to do that, you, one, have too much concealer on, and that concealer starts to take too big of a space under your eye. So what happens is you bring it all the way down, and then you lose that definition of your cheek. So I essentially don't have a cheek anymore. But also when you have too much concealer on, it leads to creasing, which is also a problem that people tell me they experience with concealer. You don't want to have too much. And the other problem is that you can also experience reverse raccoon eyes. So you want to make sure you're not doing this. Even though right now it looks like it's flawless, this is going to be a problem. So I'm going to show you the other side. All right, so with this side, you can see obviously the application is already different. I'm using way less concealer. It is not even that much lighter than my actual skin tone. And instead of the beauty blender, I'm going in with a little brush. This one is from Shiseido. And all I'm going to do is tap, tap, tap. So this is where I have that darkness, remember, so that's one of the keys. And then I'm going to just kind of bring it over. And I'm really keeping it to my under eye. I'm not moving it down at all. And then I'm always going in an upward motion. See how it just starts to blend out perfectly, and it just looks like I have perfect under eyes. And then if you set it correctly, which I'll show you in a different video, you won't get any creasing either. This side looks like I'm more awake. This side almost feels like it's making me look tired because it's weighing my face down. And also, as I'm talking, you can kind of see that this is starting to crease because there is too much concealer, whereas this side is staying really nice and smooth.
Okay guys, a new concealer hack. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw glasses on your face with your concealer.
I understand the concept of this, and I decided I would give it a try just because I was like, you know, this could work. But here's what the problem is with this makeup hack. You, one, are using way too much concealer, way too much. It's in my brows, it got into my hair, and I actually tried not to use too much in this area. I have zero control of where the concealer is going. And honestly, the worst part about this hack is that it's just wasteful and unnecessary. Concealer comes in a smaller package than your foundation for a reason. It's concentrated, it's highly pigmented. It's not supposed to become your foundation. It's not supposed to be a replacement. You're supposed to use it where you need it. And when you do this hack, you're not using it the way it's supposed to be used. I have two different concealers from Nars. They're both concealers that I love, but they serve two different purposes. So I'm going to show you the difference. All right, so they're both the same shade, Custard. I've been using the Radiant Creamy Concealer for years and years. You can see that it has a liquid texture to it. It's more of a skin finish to it. It's not super dewy. It's not super liquidy. It's just a really nice skin finish. That's really the best way to describe this one. Because it's medium coverage, you can also layer it so you can get more and more coverage with it. But then you also want to make sure that you set it because it does have that liquid finish to it. Now this one you can see is full coverage. This one is a cream matte finish, and it is instant coverage. It does not have that same dewy texture to it at all. And also because it's full coverage, you're not gonna really layer this at all. This is going to be more of a dry kind of finish. This is the concealer I always use underneath my eyes. I never use this one under my eyes. I actually sometimes use this as a base for my eyeshadows though, but I'm gonna put them both under my eyes so you can see the difference. I'm gonna go in with this brush, just kind of keep it in this under eye area. So you can see it looks really natural. I can layer it if I want to, and it just doesn't stand out. Like it doesn't look like I'm necessarily wearing concealer. All right, so now I'm gonna go in with the soft matte. You can already just see it stands out more because it's just thicker. So now that I'm blending it out, you can see it's still really pretty. I mean, I would never say that this is not a nice concealer because I think it's very nice. It's just a lot more dramatic. It's instant coverage, so you don't get to really play around with your makeup. So if you're, again, like layering your makeup, this would already be set. Like this is where it's going to be. So I want to show you first off, now that it's dried down a little bit, that you can't completely see the difference, but I'm going to show you the difference when I smile. So when I smile, you can see that this one, the soft matte, really has already set and accentuates kind of like my fine lines because this is where I have a lot of movement. And that's really the big difference between the two different finishes. I want that kind of a finish in a place where my skin doesn't move often. When I'm smiling all day long, I'm making so much movement that it's just being accentuated by a full coverage kind of concealer like that, especially one that dries down to such a matte finish. Whereas the Radiant Creamy Concealer has more of that skin finish, it's liquid, it's more flexible, so it feels more comfortable under my eye too. Like this one feels a little bit tight and drier, whereas this one just kind of feels comfortable. And if it were to settle into my fine lines, I could just take my finger and do that and then just reset it with my powder all over again, and it would be nice and smooth all over again. Obviously, people that have really dark circles, if you have a lot of redness, you might want to use something that's more full coverage, but on a daily basis, this is what...
For the ultimate bright under eye that blends perfectly into your blush, grab your lightest concealer and a pinky liquid blush and mix them together.
So what she's really talking about is color correcting. I have those exact products, so I might as well give this a try and see if my pink blush blends better with my skin too. I believe she went in with the Rare Beauty blush in the color Happy, dollop of that. Mix it with a dollop of this NYX concealer and see if I can get that same kind of tone. So this is looking a little bit more peachy. In here. That looks pretty, but it just looks like I put concealer on. I added more pink to it. Now it's looking really pink to me. So yes, that is pink to me. So now we can see I look like I've got pink, almost like a pink shimmer under my eyes or something. So kind of like a color corrector. I do not have a pink setting powder, but I am going to use this Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. It's translucent, so it shouldn't dull it too much, and I'm not going to put a lot to set it. Yeah, still pink. I don't know, it's kind of pretty. This looks like a lot of makeup to me because I don't do this, but I can see where it's going and it feels very youthful to me. Like it feels like I'm going to look very glowy when I put my blush on. Now I'm going to go in with this blush from Laura Mercier. It's the color Strawberry, so it's really pink. You can see I almost never touch it because it's so pink to me. It's very, very youthful, but I guess that's what I'm going for, right? Well, that is blending really well. Look how cute. Honestly, I think it's so pretty. I feel a little intense right now because I feel like it makes me look so snatched in a good way and also like in a bad way because it feels very unnatural looking to me. But also I think my makeup isn't like exactly the makeup I would have wanted to have with this look, but it is so pretty. I think there's, you know, something here that's not, it's kind of like mismatched because I'm always going for more of the warmer tones. So this isn't my exact kind of look, but you can see what's happening here, right? I was fully expecting to be like, nah, this doesn't work. It's not right. And now I'm like, oh, I need to try this with other makeup looks and see if I can make it blend a little bit better because I'm so bronzy everywhere else. This is so pretty and youthful. I feel young. I'm gonna have to try it more. What do you guys think? Is this a new trend? Is this gonna be the trend? I keep putting more pink blush on. I don't know why. I don't need any more pink. I'm very pink in my cheek area. I'm into it. This is a trend. This is a hack, or whatever we're gonna call it, that I can get behind. I'm gonna try it more with different looks. You can, and you can see now it looks like I've got contour on my nose. That's so funny. What do you guys think? Tell me. I have a simple trick to sculpt the bottom half of my face and define my lips for an overall lifted look. First, apply your lipstick. I especially love this trick when I wear a bold lip, so I'm gonna wear YSL Rouge Volupte Shine in 131 Chili Morocco because it's such a beautiful red and feels like a dream on the lips. It's balmy but not too glossy. You can see I already have the rest of my makeup on too. Next, it's all about my trusty YSL Touche Éclat. This is a highlighter, so I think people get confused when they use it. It's an easy makeup tool to brighten areas of your face to create light where you want it. Using the hollows of your cheeks as a guide, draw a line from the corners of your lips up and out. You can suck your cheeks in and pucker your lips to see where you want to define the bottom of your cheekbones if you're unsure. It looks a little funny at first, but trust the process. I also like to highlight my chin area. The technique there isn't as precise. You just want to bring light to that area. Next, use a fluffy eyeshadow brush to gently blend it out. On the lip lines, you want to blend in an upward motion, but do it gently so you don't lose the line. Here's how it should start to look. Then, blend it on your chin. Last, take your ring finger and finish patting it in. You can see this simple technique using YSL Touche Éclat defines my cheekbones and makes my face look lifted as a whole. If you're not setting your under eye concealer, you're making a mistake. I'm going to show you a really easy way to do it. That way you never go without setting it again. So tip number one is to first smooth out the area where you have the concealer, especially if it's been sitting for a second. I put on my concealer and then I, like start talking, moving around, do all that stuff. So I start to create a couple of little creases. And if you set your concealer when you already have creases, then you're just setting the creases. So you want to make sure you smooth those out first. So I'm going to take this brush and I'm just going to smooth it. Nice and smooth. That's exactly the way you want it to be when you set it with powder. Next, I'm going to use a compact instead of using a loose translucent powder. I'm not trying to bake. I'm not trying to go for a beat face or anything. I just want to look really natural. And one of the best tips here is that if you accidentally buy a compact powder that is a little too light for your skin tone, you can actually use it under your eyes because it's just going to help brighten the area. So you're also getting a little brightening while you're setting. So I'm actually using a different brush. This one's a little bit more angled. It's a lot more dense than the brush I was using earlier. And it's going to give me a lot more control. And I'm going to just tap this on instead of swiping it. And then afterwards, I just kind of dust off the edges just slightly. Nice and pretty. It's set. It's going to stay all day. I'm not going to get as much creasing as I would if I hadn't set it. There you go. My under eyes are completely set and I'm ready to finish out my makeup.
How do I prevent this from happening? I do everything. I have skincare, I have every version of concealer and setting powder, all the tools, and this always happens.
I know exactly what's happening because I used to have that problem too. Now, obviously, skincare plays a big part in how your makeup looks, so I'm going to talk about it at the end. But for this specific issue, I know exactly what's happening. One, you need thinner concealer, not thicker concealer. Two, you need light layers underneath your eyes. And three, and this is the most important one, you have to set that concealer before you have creases. Otherwise, you're setting the creases in place. When I say light layers, first I go in with my foundation. Today I'm wearing this one from MAC. It's their Studio Radiance Face and Body. It's really light in texture. You can even still see my skin, and that's exactly what I want because it's a thin, hydrating layer. And I'm also gonna get a little bit closer so you can see I have texture and wrinkles under my eyes because that's what happens over time. Now I'm gonna go in with my first layer of concealer. My go-to is a Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. I've been using it for years, but lately I've been loving this one from NYX, and mostly because it's really thin and light in texture. It's super hydrating, just like the foundation I just put on, so I can layer this really easily. I'm just gonna go ahead and pump a little bit to start. See, it almost looks like it's foundation because it's so light in texture. Put a little bit right here. and then some right there. And then I'm gonna take my beauty blender. This is not even a wet one. I'm just going to pat it into my under eye area. And then I take a little bit and I pat it onto my eyelid, whatever's left on there. All right, this is one of the key moments. I'm up close because you can see it's really smooth right now. I'm gonna make some movement because this is what we tend to do as we're doing our makeup. And if you don't set this right away, this is what's gonna start to happen. So you can see as I'm moving, I'm getting those lines. It's starting to sink into my lines. And this is why you want a thin layer and not a thick concealer, by the way. Thin layer of a thin concealer and not a thick concealer. So there you go. So it's starting to set. So what I'm gonna do is before I actually set this, I'm gonna take my beauty blender again and I'm gonna smooth that out one more time. Same thing. I am going to smooth it out and just make sure it's not sinking into the lines. Then I'm gonna take my setting powder. I love this one from Nars. It's the translucent crystal light reflecting setting powder. I love the one from Laurent Mercier as well, the brightening one. It is so good. It's also key to use one of these powder poofs. And then press, 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 press. You are going to set it in place before those lines start to form and before your concealer gets into those creases. See that? You can't see that line anymore, right? Press, 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 press. And actually, I take my poof and I do my eyelids as well because they tend to get a little creasy too. So everything is really smooth and I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup and I'll be back because I'm gonna show you I have one more concealer layer. All right, so I did my eye makeup and I also put on my cream makeup product. So I have cream bronzer, I also have a little bit of cream blush on. Now it's time for my second layer of concealer. I'm gonna go right back in, same concealer. You can also use a different concealer. Sometimes people like to use brighteners like the YSL Touche Éclat. Still thin layers. Now I'm gonna take my beauty blender. And I'm gonna get right in there and just press it in. I also use it to clean up my eye makeup. So I'll just kind of go like this. Just like a little bit more right here. So I have my second layer of concealer on this side, not on this side. And I'm just gonna go back in with my powder and also my powder poof. And then I'm going to press before those lines set in. It kind of looks a little severe, but I'm gonna let it stay this way for just a bit. I'm obviously gonna do the other side as well. And then I'm gonna do the rest of my powder makeup. I'm gonna fix my brows, put on my mascara, all of that stuff, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, so this is what my makeup looks like. And you can see up close, my under eye area looks really good. And it's gonna stay like this for the most part. So those are my best tips when it comes to the actual makeup and makeup application. Now let's talk about the skincare part of it. I saw a lot of people respond to this and say that you need hydration, you need a primer, you need silicone, you need moisturizer, you need eye cream, you need the eye patches. For the most part, that's all true when it comes to the under eye area. But here's the thing no one else is talking about. If you're still using makeup wipes and you haven't switched to a double cleanse yet, then you are causing damage that cannot be fixed with makeup. All of the crepiness that we get under our eyes is from years of tugging and abusing and rubbing and irritating our under eye area. This skin is the thinnest skin on our face, and once it's damaged, it's damaged. So get rid of makeup wipes. I say this all the time. It's probably one of the things I'm most known for is telling people to stop using makeup wipes. All of the young people out there who are still using them, they're like, my skin is fine. Wait until you're in your 40s or in your 50s and you have crepiness underneath your eyes. Then the second thing is to wear your sunscreen every single day. UV rays and the sun are the main cause of damage of all the aging issues that we deal with. People will say it's genetics, fine, that plays a part, but the biggest part is what you're doing to your skin. How are you protecting it? Protect it with sunscreen, stop using makeup wipes, and get a good skincare routine.